In this web tutorial, we are going to build on the BodyMass program we worked with last week by adding a GUI element, GUI being graphical user interface. And as you may know, that a graphical user interface is a more pleasing environment to interact with the computer with versus a black screen with text written and read from the screen. So what we need to do right here is add in this code, import java x.swing, which allows us to access some of Java's GUI classes. We put our code in a class file called BodyMassGUI, which also matches the name of the source file. Of course, you put the .java right here. It again has the public static void main to do the startup, and this particular class does not handle any I/O errors. We declare our variables just like we did before in the other example. We have a string object and we call it sheight and sweight. We have a primitive integer called inches and we set its initial value to 0. We have pounds and we set its initial value to 0. We have 3 doubles, one called d kilograms and we set it to 0.0, d meters and d index, all of which are set to initial value of 0.0. Here is where things change slightly. We still want to prompt the user and get input, but we are using the object J option pane from Java's JavaX classes, and we use the show input dialog method to pop up a message on the screen. Then we ask them to enter your height to the nearest inch, and then the code stays here until the user enters a value and hits enter. And then we take the string value that was entered, convert it to an integer, and put it in the primitive integer type. Please note that if they put an invalid integer in here, we will get an error. And later on in the class, we'll be dealing with how to do exception handling. We prompt the user using the J option pane via the show input dialog method to ask what the weight. We take the weight that was entered, convert it to an integer, and put it in here. And we do the calculations just like before. You can see that here. A new thing we're doing is we're taking the meters and we're rounding to 2 decimal positions and putting it into the kilograms. And we're also rounding the index here. And notice that we're doing a show input dialog. And that and the change here, before I forget, is we're showing a message dialog versus a show input. Input is where we give them a prompt and we ask for information back. The show message dialog is just where we show information to them, and we can control its behavior by setting a parameter to this method called the J option pane information message. So we're giving them information prompt. Here's the title of the window. Here's the output, which we formatted here. And you need this null here to tell the show message dialog method that it's linked to the current window it's running in. And this is how we end our program. All right, let's compile this. And let's run it. We're going to put in 68 inches, which is 5'8", a weight of 170. And you can see we have a nicely formatted value here with a little show message dialog box. The title is here and the information message is that icon because we set it here.